shoot. 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our eagles fly. Fly, eagles fly, on the road to victory. E-A-T-L-E-S, Eagles!
Welcome to 2019 Technology, Kyle.
Well, that's why they call it the THC Birdgang. Yeah, fucking...
if that kind of activity continues, we might have to rename it like the CBD Birdgang.
Yeah, there we go.
Like, you know.
All right, well, anyway, this is the THC Birdgang edition of the Dick Bird Nest, and I'm going to do this weekly and try and get some different people from the Birdgang in. So for today, we just have, I threw the link out to maybe Jared will join us or somebody else, but for now, it's just me and Mike Kincaid. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, but is he just kind of floating in limbo, or was?
I think he just didn't hang up the call. He said his wife is like cleaning and like making the noise and shit, so he didn't want to join because he said it would just be too much noise and shit. So
basically, what we got here is the general manager and the punter.
Yeah.
It's a weird combo.
Are you the punter?
I think I'm the punter or like the long snapper, maybe. I'm some weird position. I don't know. I'm on the team. That's all that matters. If we win, I get a ring.
Who's the quarterback? Let's say Alex. I want to say Alex is the quarterback. I like the idea of him yelling at everybody else.
Yeah.
So, how nervous were you that first half?
I can't say I was jumping off the Ben Franklin Bridge nervous, but I was a little nervous. But the only thing that made me feel better is that the Eagles historically have kind of come out flat in the first game, except for the Chip Kelly year when they came out blowing the doors off of the Redskins in that first half. But even all the Andy Reid years, if I can remember correctly, and the Dougie years, it feels like they kind of came out a little slow in the first half of the first game, until they kind of got their feet under them. So I wasn't totally nervous, but I was kind of like, I was having a little bit of a WTF moment.
I feel like that's like a reoccurring theme in Philly sports, just always clawing our way from behind. And maybe it just seems like that because we all have that like pessimistic Philly outlook, but I can't remember like I guess that Phillies team, there's the championship and then the year after, like those 3 years, that was a really dominant team. But
well, the Donovan and T.O. year, that was steamrolling people right out of the gates too.
See, and that's the year we went to the Super Bowl too, right?
Yep.
That's how I felt about that year that we went to the Super Bowl, where Wentz was playing real good that year. Like I just confident, man. Like I didn't worry at all.
I think the Eagles are closer to the team that we saw in the second half.
Yeah.
Once they kind of got clicking, it's like they didn't play all preseason, and you could say whatever you want. You could practice against your own guys, but until an opponent punches you in the mouth, you don't really wake up, And I think Washington came out and punched them in the mouth in that first half, and they took it, and they came back, and they, blew the doors off them in the second half. So
I heard, and I was about to say this before I realized that we weren't recording, but I heard that Deshaun Jackson was very, very vocal in that locker room between the halves.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure D-Jack probably had a lot of emotions going because, for one, he was coming back to Philly, and I know he was happy about that. And two, Redskins was his old team, so he probably had a little bit of extra juice, for that particular game in general. So I'm sure he was probably in everybody's ear. He probably had to get on a stepladder to do it, but his ear.
He seemed like, I don't know, maybe it's just in my head and shit, but I feel like from what I heard from reporters and people that know him saying that he's like way more like mature now and just like more intent on just playing and winning.
Yeah.
Who's that? There he is. What's up, Jared?
What's up, guys?
Hey, we are welcomed also by Birdgang member Jared Bell.
Yo, what's going on?
I'm going to call him the middle linebacker.
The middle linebacker.
Yeah, there you go.
We're trying to give everybody positions. Mike's the punter. or the long snapper.
Well, I've been drunk in swoop for 2 years now.
Oh, there you go. He's the mascot.
Mascot, dude.
Just don't get into fights with any basketball players.
Oh, I know, right? And the coffin beer.
So what I forget what we were just talking about. We
Talking
were
about
just,
Deshaun being a little bit more mature this time around. And I'll tell you this, and I always like to put things in perspective a little bit, as a 25-year-old or 26-year-old or wherever he was compared to the 30. How old is he now? 31, 32, something like that?
he's young but old in football years, yeah.
Like, I was an idiot when I was 25 years old. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't really start to mature until I was into my 30s. So, that makes all the sense in the world. I mean, you can't if you give a 20-something-year-old millions of dollars and expect them to be completely and totally mature at that age, I think you're maybe asking a little bit too much.
Yeah. I think you're right, man. That's a lot of fucking money for somebody that didn't have any, and it might not have been the most, normal person to begin with.
Right.
Did he dissolve his rap labels, or does he still have them?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, is his gangster status still A plus, or what are we doing there? Old Chip Kelly, man, ruined that situation.
But man, it was nice seeing him. Like he seemed to like before he was like a home run hitter, and that seemed like that's all he really wanted to do. But remember, he used to always accuse him of alligator arms and
Right.
not wanting to take the hit. But he caught a couple. I think he caught a couple short passes. Like he was going out, and then the backs were giving him room, like he was going to sprint out, and then he turns around and comes back. Some good. He was running some nice routes.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. That's just another toy added to the toy chest for Carson that he didn't have the year he was putting up those huge numbers. So I mean, I think once they really get clicking and he starts kind of incorporating everybody even more than he already did in that first game, it's going to be something else, dude. They're going to be just putting up points after points after points.
Yeah. Did you guys already talk about the slow start in the begining?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that,
Okay.
Jared. How nervous were you in that first half, man?
I was like, here we go. This is what year is this? 2006, 7, 8? I didn't know where I was, but I was watching this in a time capsule. I was like, what? This is what happens when we're put on paper as number one. We come out looking like a bag of ass, and that's what happened. And I mean, we got better though, but we just didn't look like a football team out there.
Thank God nobody said the word dynasty
Oh yeah, no.
Or Dream Team.
or dream team. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
I
fucking
agree
guy.
with Jared, by the way. Like, I don't like when people are on the Eagles. Like, the most fun of besides winning in 2017, obviously, but the most fun part about that was the whole underdog vibe was so much freaking fun. Every week they picked the Falcons, they picked the Vikings, they picked the Patriots, and every week the Eagles came out and just punched them in the mouth, and it was like that was all, this whole being the favorites. I don't like being the favorites. I don't like it at all.
No.
It's too much expectation.
Yeah.
But I do like, so we were the underdogs through the like the playoffs and like toward the end of the season and stuff. But like I was saying earlier, like during the season, we were like just fucking up. We were throwing 30, 35 points up. We're killing it. Like that was what I was saying. Like I just felt like confident. Like we weren't. There was no way we were going to lose. And then when Carson got hurt, of course, like the underdog thing happened. But that's kind of like the way I felt like toward the end of the game when we had that lead. What was it, like 29-20 or something? We had like a 9 or 10 point lead, and I just wasn't nervous at all. I was like, oh, if they score, we'll just score again.
Yeah.
I think there was a little bit of Dougie Big Balls going on in this game too. Because in fact, there's two calls in particular that really affected the outcome of the game in a positive manner. Obviously, number one, he went for it again on 4th down in Eagles territory. I think he was at the 30-something, maybe at the 40 in the third quarter. I can't remember what quarter it was, but it was, you know what I mean? At that point, I think it was 20-7. He needed to get something rolling. But also, going for 2, when he could have just taken the extra point and went up by 8, he went for 2 and put him up by 9, and that put it into a 2-score situation. And that came up huge at the end of the game because, then the Redskins really had to get into that hurry-up mode, and they ended up, getting the field goal, the Eagles did. And forced the Redskins in a situation where they needed 2 touchdowns. But him putting the Eagles up by 2 scores there, that was big. That was Dougie Big Balls once again, right out of the gates.
Well, I think too when he goes for it on 4th down, he has faith in the defense, he has faith in the offense, he has faith in everybody. He knows that okay, we don't make it, no big deal, we'll go score next time.
Yeah.
Like and number one, like my dad and I, we watch the Eagles. We go for it on 4th down because we don't like or and what's what we say? We hate the other defense so much we're going to disrespect them and go for it on 4th down because you can't stop us.
Right.
And that's kind of how, my dad says a little better than I do, obviously. But, and usually we're drinking, so I can't remember this. But yeah, it's like, fuck the other team. We're going for it. We're going to win. And that's how it is. That's why we went for it in the Super Bowl. What, 4th and 2, 4th and goal, and trick play and touchdown? Come on, So
yeah,
as a fan, I love it because it's like he's playing Madden, because like it is on Madden. You're 4th and 15 on your own 20-yard line. It's like F it, let's go for it.
Yeah, who cares?
Not that he does it to that extent, but he and that fires the fans up. Either way, it fires them.
I just think as long as he knows that when he does it and it fucks us over, we're gonna destroy him.
As a whole, I personally couldn't. But as a whole, I think you're probably right. But
I'll tell you what, I'll be mad. I'll be mad initially.
Yeah.
Well, when you're down 13 at halftime, when you should have been winning by 14 at halftime, I guess it's where you get the boos, you get the reactions,
I heard some analysts say that he made some questionable play calls during that game. I'm not really like knowledgeable on that kind of like situation, but I mean maybe you guys are. Some of them were giving us some shit, but I mean, what are you gonna do?
There was a weird call like on a third. He ran it 3 times in a row. It was like a 3rd down and 5 or something like that, and he ran it and it got. I think they got 2 or 3 yards and they ended up having to punt it away. But on the flip side of that coin, if he starts getting pass happy, then we kill him for not running the ball. So I think you got to give him some credit. No matter how far they got down, he stayed dedicated to the run, and I think that paid off because that opened some stuff up in the passing game.
Right.
So seems like the elephant in the room for this team is that questionable defense. They didn't play that well, especially in the first half. The secondary seemed to give up. I mean, it was almost like every time I looked, like I thought maybe fucking dude went like 20 for 20 in his first passes. Like every time I looked up, they were catching a pass.
Yeah, it felt like that.
I felt like we were playing with our backups again last season against the Saints. Like, oh, we're not going to stop them? Okay, gotcha. Go for it, guys.
Are we still that Darby guy? He's coming back from injury, or isn't one of the guys that's did he play during the preseason?
I don't think so.
I don't know that he did. I think McLeod did a little bit because he was coming back from injury as well, but I'm not sure if Darby did or not. Honestly, I feel what you guys are saying. I'm going to chalk it up to just a little bit of rust and you got to remember too, like McLeod and a couple of these other guys. These guys are just still learning to play together.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to imagine that with a defensive secondary, there's a lot of communication and chemistry that goes, and that's probably a little lacking. So I feel like they're going to grow as the season. At least I'm hoping. I feel like they're going to grow, throughout the season.
It's only the first week, so
yeah.
It is. It was only the first half of the first week. So yeah. So I hope they chalk that up to just first game jitters and they'll get on it. But I was one of the ones that was really wanting them to get Clowney, and it seems like in hindsight, with Malik Jackson going down, that that's kind of a big deal. Like
it's nice that we got Timmy Jernigan back because he's no slouch himself. But that's kind of a big deal.
We did sign somebody just now. I forget.
Yeah, he was off the Dolphins.
This guy from the Dolphins, yeah.
Okay.
Let me pull it up.
Oh, good. We got a Dolphin.
Yeah.
His name is Akeem Spence.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle. Let me see.
Ray.
Let me see if
He was
they
like
traded or.
No, I think they just signed him.
Oh, so he was sitting on the couch.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure about that because it did say something about them. If they release him, they don't have to absorb his whole contract or something. So maybe they did give up something for him, but I think he was like a 4th-round pick, like 7 years ago or something. Like, you know, it's
Cut. He got cut. I was listening to 94 on the way home. He got
okay.
cut. And he got cut right before the season started, like late August. So he wasn't totally sitting on the couch. He played 16 games for the Dolphins last year.
Okay.
He did 11 games. Started 11 games for Tampa Bay the year before that.
Okay.
And I think they said he played for the Lions for a couple of years or whatever. But he's you know,
It's something, I guess.
it's something. But yeah, man, Clowney would have been good. But you know what? Again, if there was one general manager in Philadelphia that I trust, it's Howie. So you know, if Howie said it's a no-go, then there had to be a somewhat decent reason for it.
Yeah, for sure. So, are you guys surprised at how many touches Darren Sproles got?
I'll let you go first, Mike.
They really ran it by committee, and he did get a lot of touches.
No, I knew they would do it by committee, but he got more than I would. I thought maybe he was just going to return some punts and maybe get like a couple, like, you know, passes or something like that.
Well, I was a little surprised, maybe not by the amount of touches that Sproles got, but more by the lack of touches that Howard got.
Yes.
But all that being said, as a whole, as a group, I feel like they ran the ball fairly decent. I really like what I saw out of all of them. You know, Howard and Sanders included. I mean, and you got to remember they took back that one touchdown. Was it Howard or was it Sanders that ran it in from
Sanders?
I think it was Sanders. Yeah,
Sanders.
By the way, on a chintzy call on. I think there was a little bit of a flop going on there on that play. But I feel like they ran the ball.
I'm pretty excited for Sanders. I think he's gonna be a really good running back. I mean, he's a monster so far. I mean, I thought he ran a good patch when they gave him the ball, but a lot of the plays that either Sanders, Howard ran, I think they end up for 1 or 2 yards. So you only saw Sproles dodging and weaving and ducking and driving, getting out in the open. But you know, he's a veteran too. So
two things about Sanders. Number one, he was picking up the blitzes really well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw that on a bunch of plays. He was coming across the formation and picking up a lot of blitzes, which was huge. And two, I just like having a running back on the team named Sanders. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to turn out the same way, but you know.
Yeah. Well, he ran right behind Saquon Barkley at Penn State, so he was kind of like in the shadows behind him. So I know I'm impressed by him. I got my fantasy team on the bench just because. You know, I got that sleeper pick for next year. I can pull him up in as a keeper or something. But
right,
I'm just excited to see what he can do going forward because, I mean, I like Sproles, but he gets hurt a lot.
Yeah,
He gets hurt a lot.
Somebody brought up a point where they thought that this is almost has to be Sproles last year, and maybe they're just, I mean, with no reason to save him. They're just pounding, you know, here, just do it. You got, you know, he's just, you know, this is like his last run. He's going. It doesn't matter if he gets hurt, then we, you know, it's just hurt. But maybe they're just not really being cautious with him.
That could be it. He definitely looks like he's got, you know, he doesn't look like he has nothing in the tank. Like he's, you know, for a dude that's like 4'2", man, he doesn't go down on first contact. Like he always gets a couple extra yards, which out of a guy that small, you got to be impressed by that at his age as well. I don't know how the hell old he is, but as far as running backs go, probably.
Yeah, he's king of the yak, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Jeffries look good. I always call him Jeffries.
Jeffrey. I mean, the passes he caught, and he ran that one ball and he was on a run play for a touchdown, wasn't he, or something like that, or play or something crazy.
He has a stat as a running touchdown, right?
Yeah, so I mean, he looked all right. Didn't he have like a shoulder or arm injury or something? I heard that like maybe
that was the Super Bowl year. He played through that, and I thought recently, that I don't know.
Oh, okay. It was just a mild injury, but he seemed all right out there. I mean, You know, they threw the ball to Jackson a lot, obviously, but the balls he caught looked fine to me.
I was surprised. I mean, maybe I just didn't notice it as much, but I didn't see. I thought that the two tight end set was going to be a bigger part of the game. They seem to use the receivers more.
I think that has yet to be exploited as much as it's going to be, and I think you're going to see game plans change from week to week because seriously, the Eagles, if you look on the offensive side of the ball, running backs and receivers and tight ends, man, so many toys in the toy chest. So it's kind of like unless Carson throws for 600 yards every game, you're not going to be able to really see everybody get involved all the time. And as a defensive coordinator, I'd be shitting my pants looking at that team. Like, who the hell you even cover? Because you can, when Donnie had, only Westbrook, remember, they would take Westbrook out of the equation. Well, then who the hell he got left? That's not the case anymore. Now you got, there's weapons all over the place, man.
Yeah.
It's almost like wide receiver by committee. We have running back by committee. Now we have wide receiver, tight end by committee. Because, each week you have a role and each person on the team has a role. But now you're like being selfless football. It doesn't matter who gets the ball. Hey, if I'm gonna run over here and draw 2 blockers and you get open, there you go.
Yeah, I think Dougie has everybody buying into that too.
Yeah. So
that's
just the way the Eagles are now. And that's great. So.
Wasn't Jeffries? He had a reputation of being you have to, I don't want to say selfish, but he had like a diva kind of reputation in Chicago, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
I guess winning a ring playing unselfishly will kind of take that out of you a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. That's just got to be awesome. Be part of that.
So next week we got the night game, right?
Yeah, my brother's going to be at that game.
Oh, where?
Atlanta. My brother lives in Augusta, but he's driving down to Atlanta to see the games.
Right. That's cool. Shit. I don't know what else. Did you guys happen to see you watch any of the Dallas game? Dallas Giants?
I watched.
It was just on. I didn't really
I watched the first 2 drives maybe, and I turned it off.
Did you see the when Dak and Amari scored that touch, and Cooper scored that touchdown, and they made that comment about Philly?
No, what?
What'd they say?
So I'll share the thing in later. But
that's off.
Yeah. Well, they're still thinking about because they had that game last year where they just blew the doors off of us. He scored what do you have, 3 touchdowns or something like that? That game.
Yeah.
But so after he scored it, Amari Cooper's sitting on the bench, and Dak Prescott goes over to give him hand like a 5 and shit, and he goes like, "God, that was easier than Philly. That was easier than Philly."
Oh. Dude, murder! I want to murder that team. I want to beat them by like 85 touchdowns. Let's go, dude! I just want to play that game next week.
Yeah, I really can't wait, especially since they beat us fucking twice last year, and they didn't look terrible. And now it's some of that because they played the Giants.
Yeah.
But it's also a division game, and we played the Redskins, and they went up on us first half. So still first week, they, I hate them too, but it's going to be some tough games, I think, actually.
If I could take my Cowboy hatred out of the equation for just a second and speak as objectively as possible, you shouldn't. The Giants suck. They beat a lousy team. That being said, you should beat lousy teams. That's as a good team, that should be your job. Is you should crush bad teams, which is what they did. I don't think it's anything to I'm not Patriots worried by them, just the imagination. But let's stop all the Skip Baylesses out there from getting too crazy yet.
Yeah, the Giants are the Giants. I'm surprised the Giants scored 17 points with their issues, but yeah.
How the hell did Eli Manning win 2 Super Bowls, dude? How did you do it, man?
He's got the fucking Patriots number, man. It's just like one of those things.
Seriously.
Also, Wes Welker dropping a ball.
Yeah.
How did that help? Maybe the Patriots weren't able to cheat that game. Maybe they didn't get a look at the Giants' playbook.
I don't know. I can't even speak about that. I don't know.
I think
I get so angry about that, the Patriots and all that crap.
Well,
that's another topic for another day.
Well, when we do this before the Eagles play the Patriots, I'm gonna try and get a couple Patriots fans on with us here that I know.
Oh no!
Is he gonna get that dude that we had like 800?
I'm gonna get him.
And we'll go nuts.
Wilkie, yeah, Wilkie. I'm gonna get him on there.
Who's the guy that's he's always on Mike's ass?
Tommy.
Tommy, yeah, that dude. He's an asshole, man. Any little thing you say about the Patriots, and he goes nuclear on you. Like, he will flip out. Like, you could say just like Deflategate, and he's like, "What are you talking about that like that?" I'm like, dude, calm that shit down.
I'll say this much: Tommy, when you meet Tommy in person, is one of the sweetest guys you ever meet.
I'm sure he is, but he goes.
He's the worst Patriots fan ever for all the reasons that Jared just brought up.
It's like, dude.
He was at like it's like, you know how you could talk shit about your own kids, but when somebody else talks shit about your kids, you're like, no, fuck that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, it's like you're making fun of his baby. You know, you're making fun of his kids when you're talking about the Patriots and he loses his marble. So I'm hoping that the Eagles smack them in the mouth. Yeah. And by smack them in the mouth, I mean at least beat them by 1.
So do you think there's a little hanky-panky going on with Antonio Brown going to the Patriots? Or is it just me?
I think it's I think that if we found out that this wasn't some sort of Bill Belichick puppet master move, I would not be at the least bit surprised.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Somebody brought up some points. They threw somebody on the IR faster than the team normally would. They didn't pick up any, they really lax during free agency.
Yep.
And there was one other thing that they said, and I forget what it was, but they brought back Josh Gordon.
Right.
Thinking that I know, Mike, I know you don't do fantasy, but Jared, somebody that I know had Antonio Brown, and instead of just sitting back and waiting to see what would happen, he traded him for Josh Gordon. The day before they traded him to the Patriots.
Wow. Yeah, a buddy of mine I went to high school with, he posted about O.J. Simpson, and apparently O.J. Simpson is big on Twitter now, and he was talking about, he's like, Antonio, you're killing my fantasy team.
Odd choice of words, O.J.
And I'm like, seriously. Juice, you might want to check that.
Check the words on that. His Twitter feed is fucking ridiculous, man. It's so weird because you just look at him and he always starts out with his videos where he goes, "Hey, Twitter world."
Yeah, it's like
and then the comments are just fucking
Oh yeah, I think one of the guys was saying something like he ran for what he won for 1,000+ yards in a season, and then some guy wrote underneath that he ran 15 yards out of the yard. And it's like, oh no, and he can see that shit. So I'm like, oh, he's getting roasted on the daily.
He's got to know it's coming.
Well, that's the fucked up thing about it is I think that he's such a sociopath that he probably fucking loves it.
Yeah. He's like, oh, the people love me.
Twitter world. It's so fucking weird. So weird seeing somebody that kill 2 people when he's up on Twitter.
Yeah.
Speaking of football players doing illegal shit, did you guys hear about all this stuff with Patrick Chung and the cocaine?
No, but I hate fucking Patrick Chung.
Well, the whole I just found out he got busted with cocaine. I don't know how long ago it was or whatever, but I guess he's currently fighting, trying not to get suspended and all that. But it makes perfect sense because that would seem to be the only way that he'd actually be able to cover somebody. I feel like it's also a Belichick thing. It's like, well, you know what? He just wasn't keeping up with those receivers in Philly. Let's give him a bump or two. All of a sudden, the guy's running a 4.240,
Dude, I couldn't fucking stand watching that dude on the field, man. I remember this one play where he could have had an interception. He jumped 5 seconds too early. He jumped up in the air and fell back down, and the ball was still coming, arcing. Yeah, and then the guy just caught, and then he goes to the fucking Patriots and wins the Super Bowl, man. Did he win 2 with them?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Fuck Patrick Chung.
This is F Dallas, F Patrick Chung.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I have an affinity for that being a Flyers fan because they have a tendency to tendency to trade somebody and then they end up winning a cup like the fucking next year or two.
Oh yeah, that's the Flyers curse.
Yeah.
It's with everybody.
I feel like that happens with a lot of Philly teams. I feel like, I don't know, it always seems like everybody goes elsewhere into, like, man, you see Carlos Santana's ripping the ball off the cover. This dude was batting like 220 last year, and this year he's batting 280. He's got, more home runs than he did last year, and just annoying. This is very annoying.
Well, it wasn't until recently Philly teams actually started paying people.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it would be like, all right, I need you to just take one for the team here. Here's $5 million.
Right.
Players are doing that, across the board, baseball, hockey. I mean, look at the Flyers in '95. We should have won like 3 or 4 Stanley Cups with Lindros.
Yeah.
And what are we doing? Nothing. Not paying any of those guys. Half of those dudes left, and then the concussions. Whatever, man.
Yeah.
So,
All right. I think we got it. I think we can end this. Anybody have any closing thoughts?
I do. F Dallas.
Oh yeah, and they play the Redskins this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Another. Oh, we're winning the Super Bowl.
Well, it'll be one of those things like where the Eagles beat the Redskins by 3. The Cowboys the Cowboys have beat them by like 5, and Skip Bayless will be on there letting everybody know that the Cowboys beat the Redskins by 2 more points than the Eagles did. So that would just mean the Cowboys are going to win the division.
Division locked.
I wonder if there's
get out of here.
Anybody that takes that guy seriously.
Well,
or everybody just ironically watches him as a joke.
Isn't Shannon Sharp opposite of him?
Yeah.
I love it when he laughs at him. He's like, back in his chair and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I love it. I love that shit. Doesn't matter what he could be talking about. It could be anything. Like, it could be tennis. He's talking about tennis. And then he's like,
troll.
Yeah.
He's Skip Bayless is Tyler of ESPN.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. Jarrett, any last words?
I got nothing, but I appreciate you guys reaching out to me. And go Birds, and fuck Dallas, and get to the chopper. Thanks, guys.
All right, go Birds.
Go Birds.
Eagles!